Hello everyone, welcome back to our live naturalist chat. I'm Kristen and I have Miss Holly back behind me, and we are going to talk to you today about bird boxes. And so a little bit about birds that use the boxes and why you might want to add boxes and some things like that. And so it is a very hot July day here. Just remember, please comment what you have any questions about, and please like if you like this. Please put that you do like this, and please share for all your friends so that they can see it and so that we can make more videos like this possible. So what we're gonna do is, and we're right here, we're at the Nature Center, the Alabama Nature Center in Millbrook, Alabama, and we are right at the edge of our property where we have some of our bluebird boxes. We're going to take a look inside some of them. We actually, unfortunately I can't show you, I'm looking at a really cool hawk who's hanging out on one of the boxes. It is a beautiful day. I hope that you have the opportunity to come out and visit. We have our trails open. Our building isn't open right now, but we do have trails open for you to come out and walk. And nature is beautiful right now, even though it is still hot. So if you get a chance to come out in the morning before it gets too hot, you should come out and hike our trails. All right, so we're going to take it around to Miss Holly Terry, and she's going to tell us more about some bluebirds. All right, so
afternoon. So Kristen wanted me to share with everyone a little bit about what I do every Wednesday afternoon since March. And of course, during some of that time when we were working from home, our person that takes care of our animals here was on site anyways, went ahead and did our bluebird monitoring while we were at home. But we started in March. We have 18 bluebird boxes on the property all around this big field. Mostly bluebirds really like to be just in the edge of forest where their nest boxes kind of point out into these big open fields. So you'll find them around agricultural fields, golf courses. They like areas where there's not a whole lot of understory, and so that they like to eat insects. So it's a lot easier for them to see insects in these big open fields, and they like berries and things like that as well. So we have 18 bluebird boxes. They're kind of around the perimeter of our large open areas out here at the Nature Center, and we monitor those weekly from around the beginning of March all the way through the end of July. And it's a citizen science project that we are part of, and our 18 boxes are part of the 217 boxes that the Autauga Bluebird Trail has total, and that has actually kind of spilled over into Elmore County now. But there are it's 214, 217, right around in there, total boxes that other volunteers monitor around this area. And all that data at the end of the season, it goes to Cornell University's Nest Watch program. And they don't only other kinds of, there goes our hawk, I see it flying off over there. Caught my eye. But they collect all kinds of data that helps them kind of see trends in reproduction and things like that, to see kind of what the status is of our bluebirds and other our eastern bluebirds and other birds as well. So we had a huge decline between like the 1920s and 1970s, like a 90% decline in the number of eastern bluebirds in America, and mostly due to some invasive species being introduced. And they were also cavity nesters, and they tended to be a lot more aggressive, and they would run the bluebirds off, and also more aggressive with their food sources, so bluebirds didn't have as much to eat. And habitat, you know, along with a lot of growth and development, there's been a lot of habitat loss, these kinds of areas where they like to live. as well as, you know, a lot of people don't like things like snags, like dead trees that are still standing. They don't like to leave those. But those are great places for bluebirds to make their cavities, along with a lot of other birds too. Bluebirds are not the only birds that use cavities, and they don't create the cavities. They're secondary cavity nesters, so they use cavities that are already there, holes in the tree or in logs, or, you know, different things. And, you know, woodpeckers, or we have a few boxes here, wood ducks, and a lot of owls, kestrels, a lot of different birds, and they're all different. That box is a lot huge, you know, a lot bigger than our. This is one of our. This is more eastern bluebird size, and so the size of the box and the size of the opening is all very specific to whatever bird you might be making your nest box for. And so not all birds will use a cavity nest like this, just certain kinds. Titmice and Carolina chickadees, and the ones that you're not so crazy about, some of our sparrows. They are the invasive species that kind of take over. Sparrows and European starlings, they are the ones that you don't want using your bluebird boxes because they are an invasive species. So we have a wasp checking out this one now. That is another thing you kind of have to, when you are monitoring the boxes, you have to be careful when you open them up to check to count, you know, new nest or eggs or babies, exactly what might be in there. You know, there could be snakes or wasps, or sometimes there's interesting moths or stick bugs. We see all kinds of things in there, but so you just kind of have to be cautious. You always want to knock on that before you open the door. But every week I count new nests, and you can kind of distinguish between whether it's a bluebird nest or a chickadee nest or something like that. We have a couple to show you. And we have a bluebird egg to show you too, but bluebird nest, very heavy with the pine straw and pretty little blue eggs. This is one that was left behind, and this one is chickadee.
Another one, I think.
Yeah, another bluebird nest.
Yeah.
Chickadee nests are totally different. They have a whole lot of moss. I can open this one up. Fluffy, lots of fluff, and a lot of, if you can see that from the side, a lot of moss on chickadee nests. So they look totally different. And there's a whole lot of really good pictures of the differences in the colors and sizes and shapes of eggs and nests and all that online. And we have a few pictures. There's a good bluebird. They are a bright blue color, the bluebird eggs. And there's one of our bluebird pictures there. So they like cavity nests. And then here's our chickadee. They're totally different looking eggs and nests. Have a lot of moss and a lot of fluff around there. And this one shows a natural cavity right there, but they will use artificial nest boxes as well. And there's our little, they are the cutest when they were small. And then there's our tufted. This one looks a lot like the chickadee nest. This is a tufted titmouse nest. Lots of fluff, and also little, you know, this one has lichen. You'll find all kinds of things in bird nests. Sometimes some of them will use, and here's our mama sitting on the nest. They will use snake skin or yarn or string or hair, or kind of, a lot of them will use whatever they can find, but they still kind of tend to have some trends. And like I said, some of our, you know, we have owls. This is a screech owl and a kestrel. They also are cavity nesters. They will just be a little bigger, like the size of that wood duck box that we showed you over there. And there's our wood duck pair. We've actually had some of those here in the wood duck boxes on our property. We have seen quite a few wood ducks, and theirs need to be closer to water. They like their boxes to be in a different type of habitat than the bluebird boxes. But so lots of different birds use artificial nest boxes.
Now, Miss Holly, if you were going to build a bluebird box, what are some things that need to be with that bluebird box? What are some specifications? Like, do you need to be able to clean it?
Yes, so they do need to, you can see both of these open, and all of our different, we have 18 bluebird boxes on the property. This would be an additional one. They're all slightly different types, but they all need to have a way to open. You know, some open from the side. We have some that lift up from the front. But you always want to be able to, to monitor them, to look inside and make sure there's no wasp nests and things, and to count your nest and eggs and babies. And after the babies have fledged, you see it takes about, when the mama female bluebird, she starts laying eggs, she'll lay one a day until she gets her 4 or 5 eggs in there. And then she'll start sitting on them all at the same time. So she doesn't sit on them until they're all there. So a few days in a row, she'll lay her eggs. And it takes about 2 weeks that she sits on them while they're incubating. And then they hatch out, and they will stay inside the nest box and get bigger. You know, they'll get their feathers and all that. It takes about 3 weeks for them to be ready to leave the nest. For bluebirds is a little different for different types of birds. So, but after they have fledged, that's when they have grown up and flown away. You are supposed to clean the nest out so that they will build a brand new one. And some bluebird pairs will actually they'll reuse your nest box up to 4 times in one season. So 4 broods of babies. So it's good to take the old nest, to be able to open it up and take the old nest out of there, because you know, it can get kind of dirty in there. If you imagine raising a family in this little bitty box, it's better just to take that out and throw it away, and then they'll build a brand new one. It'll be nice and clean, and they'll start from scratch all over again. And wood duck boxes, you know, they're a little larger. Like I said, you usually would want to put shavings down in the bottom of those to get them ready. And one trick that we have finally figured out this year, because we had a lot of wasp nests at the beginning of the season, is if you rub a bar of soap along the inside of the box, the inside of the roof, wasps don't really like to build nests there anymore. So that works for all kinds of nest boxes. There's a lot of tricks if you get online and Google things, you know, that you can find ways of dealing with these. But they also need to have predator guards. We'll show you that. I mean, you can see one over here in the background. This is one of our bluebird boxes, a predator guard to keep your squirrels and snakes and things. And you usually like to have limbs and things trimmed from around your box to attempt to keep the predators away, so that you can have successful broods grow all the way to adulthood.
And it looks like something's been chewing on this one.
Yeah, so sometimes they have, you know, there are special squirrels and things will chew on these sometimes. Some they have called an entrance, like a predator guard just for the entrance. We have some of those on our bluebird boxes. If you're having trouble, there's ways of trying to fend off the predators.
Well, can you show us what you monitor, what it looks like, the data that you collect every Wednesday?
Like I said, we're part of the Otago Bluebird Trail, so they provide a form for us, but it's a pretty basic form. Just excuse this, it's going to be messy, but so every week we come in, and so we have 18 boxes. And so each week we fill in if there's a new nest. It's kind of like a little code you put in for nest, and then if you know what kind of bird it is, you also have a code, like it's B for bluebird, C for chickadee, and you know, different ones that might be there. Wrens, sparrows, nuthatches, those are your typical ones. Here at the Nature Center, we tend to be bluebirds and chickadees pretty much all the time. And then if there's eggs, you put E for eggs and a number, how many are young, or you put F for fledged, just meaning they've left the nest. And if you have trouble, you know, an abandoned nest or a predator destroyed nest, there's codes for that as well. And when they have been raised and flown away, then you put R for nest removed. So it's kind of like a little code system, and then I take all this and then put it into spreadsheet on the computer and send it off to our contact for the Otago Bluebird Trail. All the data for the whole entire Otago Bluebird Trail is compiled together, and then it is sent to Cornell University's Nest Watch program. So we don't individually send it. So it's all kind of a package deal. But anybody can I have bluebird boxes in my yard as well, and we monitor those just for fun. But you know, it's kind of a citizen science thing. Anyways, you can help in your yard. It doesn't have to be at the nature center, and it's very easy to find directions and diagrams and different things online. And there are books. I had one here. This is one that somebody gave me a copy of, Woodworking for Wildlife. It's got all the specifications, the size of the hole, and the best habitat for the boxes to be placed, and exactly what size, the dimensions and all that. But a lot of like bluebird box can be made out of one board and just certain cuts, which is kind of neat, I think. But real basic construction would be a fun project at home, and it also tells you what height to put it at and kind of gives you some ideas. But like I said, kind of around an open field works really good for bluebird boxes. So if y'all want to take a look and see what we might
while we walk over here, somebody asked, is the Natureplex the same as Lanark? So Lanark is the name of the property that was donated to us. So it's the historical property, and so it includes all our historical buildings. Our organization's name is the Alabama Nature Center. So that is us, the organization, the Nature Center. The Nature Center includes the trails. It includes the Natureplex, which is our headquarters. It includes the pavilion that was added. And then we also share this property with our parent organization, the Alabama Wildlife Federation. And so their headquarters is at one of the historic homes here on the building. So we're all here together, but Lanark is not the name of our organization. So we're gonna go peek inside.
So when you approach a box, you want to knock on it in case there's a mama or a wasp or anything else in there, and just take a peek in there. And I don't know, and watch where you're stepping obviously when you're getting close. And I'm gonna pull this down just a little bit so you can see what's in there.
Nice.
And so this nest box has 3 bluebird eggs, and you can see the nest is very much all pine straw, and that seems to be their preference. So we're gonna.
And now obviously we don't want to harass mama and babies when we're doing monitoring, correct?
Correct. So we do that once a week. And we do that in the afternoons. The mornings are not supposed, it's a little more intrusive to monitor in the morning, so we wait until the afternoons, a quick peek in, and then we move on. And that's, we make sure, so that we don't want them to go anywhere. We want them to be happy. We're just monitoring things, and so we don't pester them. They do have bluebird mirrors. We use these a lot on our field trips and all when we have kiddos, if we ever happen to be doing a bird program. But these are like an automotive mirror, so that you can, without bothering the nest very much, you can put that inside, and a child or somebody can look at the mirror without bothering the nest at all. So that's kind of a neat thing, like it's an automotive mirror, but we use those. We have a little bluebird kit that I take around when I monitor. And I know this looks strange, but it has a spatula in it. It's really good for removing the old nest when it's time to go. It works like a charm. And there's some gloves in here. I've got my bar of soap for making sure we don't have any wasp visitors. But yeah, just kind of a little tool kit that I take around with me. So works quite well.
And we have another nest to go check out, right? So let's walk down here. And while we're walking, we'll talk a little bit about birds. And so a lot of people do get concerned if they see a bird. And when you see a bird, a baby bird that might be on the ground, a lot of people get concerned about it. And birds do fledge on the ground. So that means that when they are getting ready to learn how to fly, they'll leave the nest because it gets kind of cramped in there, right? So it gets kind of cramped in the nest, and they will actually leave the nest still as a little baby, and they'll still look very much like a baby. They'll have a few of their maybe adult feathers in, but mama and daddy are still taking care of them while they're on the ground. And so it's very important that if you see a baby bird on the ground, that you leave it be. And if you're standing there, you often will not see mom and dad because they're not going to alert you to the presence of their young. So they're not going to go feed it while you're standing there. And in fact, they're going to stay very quiet and hidden because they're not going to want you to see where their baby is. So it's very important that you leave them, because if you try to pick up the baby and you try to take care of it yourself, it will not learn how to be a bird. And so it's very important to just keep that in mind. As well as if you take it to a rehabilitator, baby birds don't do very well being raised by humans, so they need to be raised by their parents. So we're going to take a look in this one. And this one has a very protective mama. Yeah.
Tiny bit.
Who does not want to leave her babies for anything.
Hey, mama.
So she has eggs. And we're going to leave her alone.
Normally they fly right out if you get anywhere close, but not this mama.
Nope, she's not leaving them.
We're going to assume that what was there before she started sitting on there, there were 4 eggs in there, so we are going to assume they are still up under her, but we're not going to bother her to find out.
Nope, we're going to leave her alone.
Yes, and before too long, she'll be having to go get some food. We'll know how many babies are there.
Okay, and we can sit here in the shade.
Yes.
Finish up. It is very, very hot. Hopefully my phone doesn't overheat. It's been telling me it's overheating. So a couple of things. Baby birds. So leaving baby birds alone, that goes for most animals, unless it's obviously hurt or injured, or unless you saw something happen to its mama, then that's the time to call the rehabilitator. But if you just found a baby bird, if it's fallen out of the nest, a lot of times you can put it in a basket and hang it back in the tree, or put it back in its nest. But you'd be surprised what they look like when they're actually ready to leave the nest. They learn how to fly on the ground. And the other thing is the myth about touching them and the mama smelling them and not wanting them anymore. That's actually not true. In fact, a lot of birds actually have a pretty poor sense of smell, and so they're not going to reject it based on you touching it. So that doesn't really work. We hear a lot of people say, well, there were cats that were eyeing the bird, and so I had to take the bird in because there were cats watching it. Well, the biggest problem with that is the bird actually needs to be there. It's the cats that don't need to be there. And so one of the biggest problems with wildlife is feral cats. So birds in general, they're in decline. Songbirds in particular have a decline, and a big factor in that is cats that are outside. They have a negative impact on birds, and they have a negative impact on reptiles and amphibians too, because we all know that cats like to get a hold of birds, and they'll eat lizards and frogs and stuff like that as well. And so having your cat outside actually has a pretty devastating effect on wildlife. And so it's important to be responsible and keep your cat inside, and make sure that you don't have any cats that are affecting your wildlife outside. And if you can, make sure that either get them a proper home or where they can actually be inside or something like that, because they can especially fledgling birds, they need to be on the ground where parents can teach them the ways of being a bird without cats interfering. So that's really important. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was the legality of birds. So you can't take a bird inside and try to keep it as a pet. They are protected. And so they're protected by state and federal laws. So you can't possess one legally. And so it's really important to not try to keep one as a pet, because they're all protected, and so don't try to keep one as a pet. Now you can do your part and try to put out some boxes in your yard and maybe put up some bird feeders, and then you can attract them to your yard and enjoy them, and you'll be helping out birds, and you'll be able to see them as much as you want and be able to get to help out with some cool citizen science projects like what we're doing here at the Nature Center, and learn a little bit more, and I hope you can get to enjoy them as much as we do here at the Nature Center, because it is really a fascinating process and it's such a privilege to get to watch them. How many birds have we had fledge?
19 this year.
19 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And last year?
Last year, the whole season, we had 26. And for the whole Autauga, this amazes me, for the whole Autauga Bluebird Trail, the 215 or so boxes, they had over 1,000 baby bluebirds fledge.
Nice.
And so that's not including all the other, native songbirds that like to hang out in the boxes as well. We just keep up with the bluebird numbers. So there were probably a whole lot more. We had a lot of chickadee babies that fledged as well that don't really get added into that number. So we're strictly monitoring bluebirds, but so yeah, lots of babies, and we've still got 2 nests of eggs right here that we showed you today. So, and we've got a little while to go until the end of the season.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
a few more.
Really cool. So hey, if you have bluebird boxes on your property, please comment in this when we get this posted, and put a picture of your bird box, either it be a wood duck box or an owl box or a songbird box or a bat box or any other kind of box that you have on your property. Please share it with us. We want to see. And thanks for making some habitats for some animals. And remember, we'll see you next week. You can continue asking questions in the comment even after this has been posted. And have a fabulous weekend. Thanks for joining us.